It's great having you here, Auntie Di.
Yeah.
Thanks, Marshall.
We call you Auntie Di.
Sam?
I've always called you Auntie Di.
Yes, you have. Made me feel very old.
Since nah.
Considering, look at you. All the flecks of silver through there.
Hey. Silverback.
So we've known you for 10 years.
Just about.
So nearly 10 years.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been amazing. And you have testified at chapel before,
Yeah.
but not in this setting.
No.
So 10 minutes is really hard.
Yeah.
So now we've just got a little bit more time.
Okay.
So how are you going? How's everything at the moment?
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
Always reevaluating things all the time.
Yeah.
So it's yeah. I'm living with family, the kids, and they're always busy. So the busier they are, the busier I am. So yeah, that's good.
That's cool.
No complaints. I'm very grateful.
Yeah.
Very grateful for everything.
What an amazing turnaround, hey, for your family. Like,
I know.
how
All
cool
those
are
years
they?
of praying for them to come to church,
Oh,
to be in the same church, and then to have them come, and my sister's coming along now too.
oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. And another friend of mine who was there the day I got born again, it was because of her prayers that I got born again. Yes, so she's coming along now too. So it's nice.
It's awesome. I remember back in Broadbeach State School praying for your family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So yeah, starting point, where do you want to start? Like,
Well, I might just about my family,
yeah, cool.
growing up stuff. So
Yeah.
one of 12 children. I'm
What?
I'm number 11. Number 11 of 12 kids.
Wow, I didn't even know that.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So in a very little country town
In Australia,
in Australia, country New South Wales,
Name?
1 of 12.
of the town.
Yeah.
We war.
Yep, that's why you didn't say
We
it.
war.
We war.
Yeah.
We war against you.
2,000, 3,000 people.
Far out.
Very small.
And you made up 10% of the
Yeah, I was gonna say the family made up a big percent.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. So and 9 boys.
Wow.
So
Were there any step brothers and
No.
sisters in there?
our eldest sister, firstborn, her father died when she was a baby, and then
Okay.
Mum met Dad, married him, and then had 11 children,
Wow.
all blood related. All
Wow.
of us.
Oldest to the youngest, age difference.
My eldest sister was about 14, 15 when I was born, and the youngest is 2 years younger than me.
That's a busy family.
9 months between 2 of the brothers,
What?
14 months between my sister Jo and I.
Wow.
Yeah, so
Chaos.
All brought up in a 3-bedroom house.
well, the first house I remember I was living in was a shack, no glass. We had no glass in the windows at all. This is from what my brothers tell us what the place was like. So, and then we got transferred to a housing commission, beautiful home. Yeah, so with the toilet still out the back.
What?
Wow.
Wow. What was the biggest house as a family that you lived in, bedroom-wise?
That one, 4-bedroom.
4-bedroom with 16 people.
Yeah. And I remember, I don't know how many, 4 or 5 to a bed.
Wow.
Do that.
Top and tail?
Yeah, it would have been. Yep. I don't know how we fit it in there, but we did.
1 toilet.
Oh,
Yeah,
teenagers
one
are
toilet.
like,
Yeah.
Mum, I want a queen-size bed. I'm sick of my
I
king
know.
single.
It's just amazing what you're used to.
Yeah, yeah.
It's
No.
in breakfast time. You need 8.
What breakfast?
You need 8 litres of milk.
Yeah,
I don't know how we managed. I do know, though, that it wasn't good.
Sure.
Our mum died when I was 5, so then the whole family
Oh.
got sent away. So it was only the first 5 years that we all living together in that house, So, but one of the brothers ended up in detention because he was stealing food, So it was that kind of
Like jail detention
yeah,
centre.
yeah. He was 14, so
What?
yeah. So that was the sort of thing that was going on.
Far out. So when you were 5, your mum died. Where did you go then?
My sister Jo and I got taken away together by our great aunt and uncle.
Oh, okay, cool. So it's
Yeah.
still in the family.
Yeah, because Dad wanted us two girls kept together. The boys were sort of farmed off to different places, and a lot of that didn't work out anyway for them. They ended up in Boys Town in Sydney. Yeah, but Jo and I with our auntie
Wow.
for about 10 years. Then she passed away when I was 15.
Oh,
So that wasn't the best 10 years
Yeah.
either, but she did her best for us,
yeah.
you know. So we're very grateful for that.
She was the oldest.
Our auntie, she was
Oh,
our,
your auntie.
our great
sorry.
aunt, yeah. Our
Wow.
grandfather's sister-in-law.
Oh,
All this
man.
time, like, just chopping over here,
Yep.
was God in the picture then?
I always see our mother was a Catholic, so
Okay.
we were Catholics.
Mm.
And I remember as a child running to the church for sanctuary because I was going to get a flogging for something, you know, because we lived in that country town. So we just roamed around, as you do when you've got a big family.
Yeah.
You just roam around.
Yep.
So I just took off to the Catholic church and hid, so I wouldn't get
Went
flogged.
to the priest, did your confession.
Yeah.
Oh,
Dad, it's all good. It's all good.
It's all been covered.
Yeah, it's all covered by the blood.
yeah.
Oh,
So-
jeez.
Wow.
And then when our aunt took us,
Another aunt?
the great aunt,
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
she had us for 10 years. So her mother lived with us too, and she was Salvation Army.
Okay.
So
Nice.
we used to go to church with her on Sunday, and our aunt put us in Catholic school.
Oh, wow.
So we had that going on at the same time. I love God. I wanted to be a nun.
Really?
Yes. I wanted to be a nun and a missionary.
From
So
what
fr-
age?
Oh, since I was at Catholic school, I guess,
That's
early primary. And
Wow.
we were in a home. Jo and I were put in a girls' home for a year or two after our aunt took us, and that was a Catholic one too. So the nuns ran that. And that was a good experience for us. That was a good home. They looked after us really well.
must have been if that's what you wanted to be. You
Yeah.
must have had some amazing women.
Yeah. So that was a good experience for us. So, but yeah, I've always loved God. I just don't know how I started.
Wow.
It just happened,
Wow.
you know. So,
Wow.
But your family? So Catholic, so you'd all turn up to mass?
no one turned up to mass.
Oh,
There was none of that. No,
none of that.
none of that.
Catholic by name.
Yes, very much so.
Okay.
Very much so. So yeah, no. None of that.
Okay.
And in my family, like all my siblings, except for my sister now, who comes to church, she got saved just after I did. No one is interested in God.
Right.
Some of them are atheists.
Right.
Uh,
All close though? Still friends? And
Yes,
close?
yeah.
Are they all around?
Sydney, country New South Wales. One brother still lives in our hometown.
Oh, wow. Cool.
Yep. Yeah,
Wow, that's amazing.
still
Yeah.
catch up with them.
So you were 15, 16 when your great aunt passed, and then from there you went.
Well, then Jo and I were sent off again somewhere else, to someone else to look after us.
Wow. All in New South.
So that didn't work out very well
Right.
either. So as teenagers, we were quite lost. No one to input into our life.
Are you were spending time with your dad still? Would he
No,
visit?
Dad was never. Dad wasn't
gone.
Dad wasn't the kind of dad that looked after his kids. And when Mum died, he turned into an alcoholic. So
Wow.
he
Oh.
wasn't.
Around.
No. So there wasn't any of that.
So then, wow, that's pretty full on.
It's
Yeah.
huge.
But we survived. You know.
Yeah.
You know, God was good to look back over the years. You don't realise it at the time. Things that God was there all the way through, and I know He was there all the way through for me. Even being in that home, after being taken away from a family of 14 to this home with my sister and I, with this older woman and her adult son, that would have been devastating for us as children. But then we put in the home and we're surrounded by all these kids, these girls. We had a great time.
Yeah.
All with a lot in common,
Yeah,
and the nuns.
they were very good to us.
Wow.
So Auntie Di wanted to be a nun.
I did.
So
Wow.
that you were at the school till how old
Um,
with the nuns?
The home, about 2 years. So we're there about 2 years.
Oh, that was a home.
That
not
was
a
a
school.
home, girls' home, yeah, which was attached to the Catholic school as well. So they had their own school. So about 2 years, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 there.
Wow.
And then we moved out of that town up to northern New South Wales. And that's when we continued on with the Catholic school. That didn't bode well. Nuns weren't as nice in that place as what they were in the home. So our auntie took us out of there, put us in a public school, which is great. Still just going to Sunday school,
Oh, yeah.
Salvos.
Yeah.
With our grandma.
Thank God for the Sallys.
Yep. But she wasn't a very nice woman.
Right.
But yeah, so I still love God, but never found him.
Wow.
Just to pray, because our home life was very difficult, because our auntie was quite a hard lady, and she had 5 children, they all died. So you can imagine what that does to a woman. Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
That's tragic.
I know. So, and she was very sickly, so she was always sick, always in bed, always sick. So the burden of the household fell onto Joe and me to do everything all the time.
Right.
You know. So
With not much thanks either.
no, and being a teenager, you don't acknowledge people's pain. It never occurred to me that this woman was in pain.
Wow.
But
Yeah, she was just a bitter
yeah,
old woman.
yeah. But she did her best for us,
Yeah.
and I'm grateful for that.
Yeah.
But, only one thing I have regret is I never got to tell her that.
Mm.
You know. But
Oh, she just would have been in survival mode herself.
oh, definitely.
Yeah.
She had a very difficult life.
Wow.
You know. But yeah.
So would you say that environment though was still better than your home life or originally?
Lot different. My sister and I quite often talk about this. We wouldn't be
Wow.
the people we are today if we'd stayed with our biological family.
Yeah,
We're
okay.
totally different girls.
Yeah.
Totally different. Our auntie was very strict,
Right.
you know, in how we behaved, how we dressed. She taught us how to do things, cook, clean, sew.
So it is input. So she
Yeah.
was giving some
Yeah.
level of input.
Yeah. It just wasn't. She believed in Jesus,
Yeah.
loved Jesus, but hated God. Because
Wow.
why would a father do that to his son? That was her thinking.
Wow. Yeah, right.
So,
Wow.
so yeah.
Good question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Very fair.
and I remember thinking as a child, Jesus failed, didn't he? He's supposed to come and bring peace. He failed.
Wow.
That was my thinking because of all the Middle East. You always hear about the Middle East stuff going on. And so as a child, that was my thinking. Well, he failed.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. But I always prayed, always calling out to God, I need help. To help me get out of this house, you know.
Wow.
But, yeah, and there were opportunities, but it just never happened for whatever reason.
So what did you do after school? You were still with, you went to a different house again.
Yeah, I ended up being fostered by a school friend's mother.
Okay.
I was in grade 10.
Is that when your sister and you separated?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, she ended up going somewhere else. And
Yeah.
So,
Was that traumatic, the separation there, or was it kind of by choice?
no, it wasn't traumatic. Kids don't get asked what they want; they just get told. So we were just told what we were to do. You know, you're going here and you're going there, but we're still living in the same town.
Right.
But there was a lot of grief going on that wasn't
Massive.
acknowledged.
You wouldn't have grieved your mum.
No, never did. Weren't allowed to.
Wow.
You know, so those high school years weren't good, and after high school wasn't good either because I never completed it. Just
So not good meant what?
Because we'd moved school. I moved school 3 times in grade 10, and every time I was down a grade. Didn't have room for me in the grade I should have been in, so they put me down a grade. And then finally, in the last school, the friends I got weren't good influences.
Okay.
And one of them was her mother that fostered me.
Right.
She took me, and she wasn't a good influence whatsoever. So it all sort of went down tubes.
So Sunday school went out the window.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you sort of, well, I suppose you've been conditioned to adapt to a change of environment. So you just
just did that.
You just settle in.
Yeah.
Was it enjoyable for you at the time though? Like, was it a bit more love, bit more
Freedom.
freedom, and
Oh, a lot of freedom because we didn't have that before, but still very lost. And I wanted God. We had this Christian group come down to the high school to do an outreach. And I wanted to go along, you know.
Wow.
And it's funny because it was Paul Allen.
Paul Allen
He
from
would-
Hope.
Yes.
Oh, awesome.
Him came down, him and his team, and Paul was very tall, had long hair and a goatee. Who does that remind you of?
Jesus.
Jesus. And I was in love with him. He was Jesus. And then I was really desperate, you know, because of everything. But still didn't find the Lord then.
Wow.
wow.
I know. It's
So
you
amazing.
you
went to
did
the-
go. You
Yeah.
did go to it.
Went to the outreach, yep.
Wow.
Kept in contact with some of them, but no, it just fizzled out to nothing. So then, you know, a few years just went on doing what everybody else did. I ended up moving from New South Wales to Queensland because I had two brothers. who lived
Promised land.
It was too, yeah.
Yeah.
Best move ever made. Because we had a brother who got killed in a car accident, and that was sort of set me off again. Well, I don't want to be down here, and I knew the environment I was living wasn't good. School wasn't good, so I made the decision to jump on a bus and move to Queensland and live with my brothers.
How many brothers?
There was two. One
Oh,
was married, had his family, so it was him that I lived with. Got a job. They didn't believe in anything much at all.
So
either.
how old were you? then?
16 when I moved up.
What?
Yeah. And then stayed with them for a while. Their marriage ended up breaking up. And then just life.
Wow.
Going to the pub, sneaking in. Well, it wasn't sneaking in. I looked older than I was. So just get in and drinking, and I fell in love
Fell in love
with
at
the
the
wrong
pub.
person.
Fell in
and-
love at the pub, eh?
Fell in love with the pub.
Wow.
Yeah. So then I got pregnant at 20
Yeah.
with my darling girl. Yeah. Still wanting God, still trying to find God, and still, you know, couldn't find him.
Wow.
Took it till I was 30.
Wow.
I got born again.
Jade was 10 then.
Yeah, she was 9.
9, yeah,
Yeah,
wow.
yep.
So whereabouts in Queensland were you living?
Ipswich.
Oh, okay, cool. Just up the road.
Yes.
How was it as a 20, 21, 22-year-old with a little toddler or young child?
Very lonely because I didn't drive. I didn't have a car back then. And I was very lonely.
Oh, so
Very hard.
this love didn't work out.
No.
Okay,
He didn't want a family.
okay.
Yeah, he didn't want a family. So,
Wow.
mm.
Back in the day, well, I don't know. There's like the stigma, single soul.
Oh, there was that.
Was that
Yep.
a real thing?
Yeah, it was.
So that's sort of why you felt ostracized, or you
Oh,
were
no,
ostracized.
No, it was just because I'm a quiet person. I'm not outgoing, you know. So I didn't have a car, so I was just at home with my daughter. Got myself a little part-time job, and I wanted to be a good mum. I didn't want anyone to feel sorry for my daughter because she didn't have a dad.
Huh.
So I made sure she was well looked after, and she was. And she was a very smart little girl.
Yeah.
Very clever. I knew she would do well.
So what did you do to compensate for the dad not being in her life?
Just tried to teach her
Okay.
things, you know. Very important to respect people. Doesn't matter who they are. Person in the gutter, you show them respect because they're a human being, you know. And, yeah.
Just so these values just come from your own heart. Just,
Yeah, I guess so.
wow, that's amazing.
Well,
Yeah.
you
Do you know what? I'll just tell this little story. I was in high school, first year of grade of high school. And I had lollies in my bag. We never had lollies because we never had money, but somehow I had lollies. So I couldn't find them. They disappeared. And I thought my friends got in there and took my lollies, right? And in my heart, I accused them.
Mm-hmm.
And then I found my lollies. I was convicted. So convicted that I told them that I thought they stole my lollies, and I gave them my lollies.
Wow.
You know? So I've always had this sense. I mean, certainly was no angel, believe me, but I had a sense of,
Goodness.
yeah, I guess, yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. Hey,
And that had to come from the Lord.
Yeah, right.
Had to.
Yeah.
And I don't remember how come I loved him so much and I wanted him, whereas other family members didn't.
Yeah.
I don't know.
This is amazing. This is intriguing.
it is. It's very interesting. How much of an influence, I guess, the nuns that you had a good relationship with that were kind to you, they would have played a role in having a good influence in you.
Yeah.
Would the rest of the connection with the religious groups that you were in and out of, do you think there was much of a influence that they had, or would you say that it was the largest portion was from the nuns?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know. I guess we, because a lot of teaching, you get a lot of teaching, so I guess that would have been instilled in me, wanting to be a nun for a start, you know, wanting to be a missionary. That was always something I wanted to do, to help people.
They had to have been amazing women for you to desire to do that.
And I still remember that the nun who looked after us in the home, Sister David was her name. I still remember what she looks like.
Wow. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So there was a reference point
Yeah, I guess
of
so.
goodness.
Yeah.
I suppose.
Yeah.
But for it to have such a impact on your life for you to act a certain way and do things a certain way is pretty, you don't just get that from watching people. That's like a seed in your heart or...
yeah, I guess so.
So how did you handle the stigma, solo mum?
Oh, well, I just made sure that Jade had a good home. And it was always clean.
Yeah.
It was always nice. She was always looked after. Yeah.
How was she? Was she a little rascal?
No, she was great. She was great. She just went with the flow. She never demanded anything. She was never a brat. She, even when she got older, second-hand clothes, she never complained. She never wanted brand stuff, ever.
Wow.
She was always happy with what she got. And then when she got older, she got a little bit rebellious. And that was her, she resented me because she didn't have a dad. And that came out in her teenage years.
Yeah.
That was tough for me.
Yeah.
Really tough to go through that. So.
Sounds like she brought you a lot of joy.
Oh, she did.
Yeah, I mean, did and does, I should say. Yeah.
And I remember thinking, even though I didn't have her father, in my mind, I always would have him because of her.
Right.
And she reminds me of him.
Right.
Even though now, knowing him now, there's no way in God's green earth I'd ever go near him.
Right.
Because we're poles apart.
Yeah. Wow. So you're a solo mum in Ipswich, bringing up this beautiful girl.
Yep.
And then you didn't fellowship anywhere?
No church. I didn't know any Christians in Ipswich.
Church.
There was no one.
Wow.
Did not know one Christian, one person who went to church.
So just keeping your head down, living your quiet life, doing the best you can.
I wasn't, as I said, I wasn't an angel. I still,
Yeah.
on the occasion where I could find a babysitter, which
Go
wasn't
out.
very often, I would go out, drink too much.
Yeah.
Looking for love.
Yeah.
I was looking for love, and just couldn't find it.
Yeah.
So, and then we moved down to the Gold Coast.
Okay.
Right? I was 29, 30. Jay was 7. And I knew one person who lived here, and she was a sister-in-law of a sister-in-law.
Okay.
Right? So we shared a sister-in-law. And she was a Christian, a fanatic, we were told. Fanatical person she was. So she had been praying for me.
What?
Yeah, because I'd met her a couple of years prior.
Okay.
Right. So she'd been praying for me. And then we moved down here and caught up with her occasionally, but she worked in the office of the church, so she was always very busy. And then we talk about God and the Bible, and, the Bible says about children that are born out of wedlock are bastards. And I wanted to know why,
Wow.
what was that about, that sort of thing. So we used to have lots of discussions. She never pushed anything on us. And then one day one night actually, Saturday night, I had this thought just popped into my head, go to church tomorrow. Just like that. And I only knew one person who went to church, and that was Bev. So I rang her and said, can I come to church tomorrow? And she goes, yeah, sure. I said, can you meet me out the front, please? I was walking by myself.
Cute.
I got saved that day.
Wow.
Yeah.
So Jade went with you?
Her and I walked up the front by ourselves, and at the shame that I had felt, because I knew what I'd done. We're brought up, you don't have sex before marriage, all that sort of stuff, but I did. And standing at the front of the altar, I still remember how I felt that day with my daughter. I still may have my arm around her, and the shame I had felt because I knew I'd done wrong. And it gave my heart to the Lord, and then it all just lifted.
Oh.
Wow.
It just lifted. The weight just went. Everything changed.
Wow.
I just got such peace and love and joy. And it was,
Was it like a heavy wet blanket lifted, or a ton of weight? Like dumbbell weights lifted? Like, what did it feel like?
Yeah, like I was suppressed. That I had
Wow.
freedom.
Wow.
Yeah, and
In that moment.
in that moment I got light.
Wow.
Yeah,
I love that, eh? I love finding those moments.
yeah,
Like, they totally exist in people's life. With
yeah.
something changes, everything changes.
Everything changed.
Were
Started
you
going to
crying and all that?
Yeah, crying. And then for the next 10 years I cried my guts out in church every Sunday. Grief.
Yeah.
The grief I never had,
The
So you're
healing
processing
process.
a lot of stuff.
Yeah. And at the time, even then, I still didn't understand why I
Yeah.
was crying so much.
Yeah.
But it was being healed.
Did you feel like you were falling apart, like at any stage? Sometimes you have an encounter with God and your life gets messier.
No. Those first 3 years
Okay.
in a nice church, family church, and it was great.
Falling together.
Yeah, it was nice.
Yeah,
Nice. That's
yeah.
a better
I,
word.
I had a
Yeah.
purpose. We had people around us. Joey started coming along to church too, so that was nice.
Joey.
My sister Jo.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
Yeah. So
And this was on the Gold Coast.
she's on the Gold Coast.
Fabulous.
So I firmly believe that there's a timing for us.
Yeah. Had you, you could have, that wasn't the only appointed time for you, right?
There were
Like-
other
yeah.
opportunities, but it
Okay.
never happened. And I can't explain why.
That's right.
There was a girl in high school who was born again Christian. She used to sit with me and talk to me. And I think I actually went to church with her once, but nothing happened.
Right.
Don't
Yeah.
know why.
I feel like sometimes though those are just the hand being extended, and I don't know, for lack of a better word, the seeds being sown.
Yeah.
It's like you wouldn't, I don't know, I don't like to make these statements, but you were never going to be ready at that point, but God was like, I'm here.
Yeah.
I'm here. And then that's what leads you to eventually being like, man, this is it.
Yeah.
I don't know if I explained that well, but because I hear that a lot, I see that a lot, and it's almost like it wasn't the right time then, but that was the step or
Like a deposit.
or a paver placed on the
Yeah.
road that
Right.
was a
Nice.
path that was leading to you
Yeah.
encountering Him.
Because there was even this woman that I knew later on. Can't think of how old. Jay would have been 6, I think. This Christian woman I came in contact with when I was living down I moved back down to New South Wales for a bit to look after my great uncle, and become friends with this woman. She was born again Christian, and we talked about the Bible and God again, but nothing out of that.
They didn't invite you to
They
prayer or
No.
Di, have you had a relationship with the Lord before? They never sort of pressed that question, or
I don't know. I don't
Okay.
remember. I
Well,
don't
that's okay.
remember. But nothing came out of that. But I know she was praying for me too.
yeah, well, that's amazing.
She would have
Maybe
been.
it's that as well, like the prayers, and the softening of the heart that needs to
Yeah.
happen,
Yeah.
and the Bible's pretty clear. Like, prayer is powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So maybe it's just a matter of the prayers of Christians building
Yeah.
and God's like slowly softening, slowly preparing,
Yeah.
or maybe
Yeah.
it's as quick as possible. Who knows?
Yeah.
But
Did-
it's amazing.
Did a lot change from that moment? Like, obviously, this weight had lifted,
Yeah.
shame
Oh yeah, a
had
lot
gone,
changed. Yeah.
grief started to
Yeah.
its process.
Yeah.
Like, what sort of things
Well,
happened?
hope.
Okay. Wow.
Oh wow.
I had hope
Wow.
because of my childhood and seemed like everything was constantly getting taken away.
Mm.
You know, loss. I'd lost another brother, so 2 brothers had passed away,
Wow.
both in car accidents, and the second one was my favourite brother. I
Mm.
was very close to him, so that was really hard. Jay was 2 at the time, so there was just no hope. I had no hope.
Yeah.
And
what,
I remember
you're just
crying.
existing.
Yeah, glass of wine, crying, saying, "God, I don't understand why things don't get any better for us. Why is everything a struggle all the time?"
Wow.
And then after I got saved, things changed.
So when,
Just did. Everything just turned around and everything in here changed.
because when you're having a glass of wine, God, you know, because you had that desire, you said you
Yeah.
love God,
Yeah,
you love God, but it must have been so distant.
yeah.
Was it almost like when you got saved and the weight was lifted and that you had that encounter, was it almost, did he come close? Like,
He must have. I just know that I couldn't wait to read the Bible. Every morning I'd get up early.
wow.
And the Old Testament. I loved the Old Testament. Can you believe that?
Wow.
I loved it.
Wow.
I love this. I love
Yeah.
Mm.
this is pretty rich.
It was,
Now, what was the? Okay, so you already got shame and guilt, like
Mm,
you're a solo mum.
yeah.
That's sort of compounded in your own thinking.
Yeah.
What was it like in the environment of the Christians? Like when you walked in,
Mm.
was there judgment there as well, or just an
No,
embrace? Or
No. No, none of that.
wow, really?
Yeah, that church family was just amazing.
Wow.
Even in that, to be born again into that church, it was such a family church.
Awesome.
Oh, it's
And the pastor was amazing. He was so loving and supportive, and he would always went out of his way to come and say hello to me
Oh,
and Jay, talk to her, and he was just involved in all the areas.
wow.
You know, and I started teaching Sunday school and get involved in, they had a Sunday school picnic every year, which was great. And you get involved.
So you
setting that up.
became busy.
Very busy. And they
But-
had like a music program, junior singers they called it. So
Oh, cute.
and Bev ran that. So every Wednesday we'd go to junior singers practice. We were busy with church stuff and it was great.
yeah,
So busy,
good.
busy in the sense of community, in
Yeah.
the sense of family,
Yeah.
hope being
Yeah.
fueled.
Yeah.
You're living with purpose.
Yeah.
You got connection, relationship. From where you were
Totally
Isolated.
different.
trying to find comfort somewhere
Yeah.
to now being embraced by this family.
Yeah.
Yeah, how awesome.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
It's great.
And Jade's like 8 at this time?
No, she was 9 when we
Wow.
got saved. I say we.
Yeah.
And then she just flourished and joined the junior singers, and because she would like to sing,
Yeah.
so
hard out.
um, she loved doing that, and it was just good.
I can imagine her. Just a
It was good.
beautiful little girl, just
Oh.
like
She'd
hungry
witnessed.
for
She
God.
witnessed to
Yeah.
the kids.
Of course
Yeah.
she did.
Yeah, she was great. She was my best friend.
Oh,
And then she started,
yeah.
being naughty,
Yeah.
talking back at me. That stuff.
So how important was the church community for you when that started happening? So like for the next 5 years it was just pretty good? Like
No,
okay.
no.
You were crying a lot?
Well, I stayed in that church for 3 years,
Okay.
and it was great. But I needed more.
Wow.
I felt like I needed more, and I came across these other Christians who talked about the word like I've never heard anyone talk about the word
Right.
the way they did. And I wanted that. And they were starting a Bible college, so I started going to this other church, the Bible college, and it was great that year. That first year of Bible college was, you couldn't wipe the smile off my face.
Wow.
I was on cloud 9. It was awesome.
Wow.
So good. So good.
How so okay, Jay's like 12, 13 nearly.
Yeah.
So then, how long were you there for?
In that church, about 5 years.
Okay.
It didn't end well. I worked in the office. It wasn't a good environment.
You worked there as well?
Yeah, so it wasn't good. That didn't end good.
Okay.
Let's just say that. But I learned a lot out of that.
Yeah.
And I've learnt with God, even the bad times, we can learn so much out
Yeah.
of that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
And I don't regret that at all.
Mm.
Wow. So then, when that sort of capitulated, where did you guys go?
Well, when I left there, I sort of just went to church on a Sunday because I knew if I didn't, I would just walk away
Right.
Yeah.
because of stuff that had
Stay in it.
occurred. Mm.
Yeah.
So I just did that and sort of roamed around church to church, and Jay was off doing her thing. And then she told me she was pregnant. So that was a shock. I was horrified actually because I thought she knew better than to become a single parent, you know.
She's
She
going to
was-
have to go everything. through
Yeah.
you've gone
She said
through.
the same thing though.
Yeah. But you know
Hey,
what?
and with her Testify,
Yeah.
she said the same thing.
Yeah.
I knew better.
Yeah. Wow.
But then see, she was searching too for her father
Yeah.
figure,
Yeah.
that man in her life. And at the time I didn't understand that, and I was devastated. But I never told her that
Yeah.
because he was this young girl, he was pregnant and scared, and she'd said to me, "Mum, I can't do this on my own, will you help me?" And I said, "Yeah, of course I can." So I had to protect her and this baby. So, and I was proud. I was so proud of the fact that she had the child
Yeah.
because her other friends weren't doing
Yeah.
that. They were
Yeah.
going and having abortions, you know. So I was proud of her courage
Yeah.
that she did that. So
she had some good seeds sown
yes,
from a young age.
yeah,
Come
she
on.
did. So, you know, and that first 12 months of that wasn't easy either
Yeah.
for her. We were struggling financially because she couldn't work. For whatever reason, she just couldn't. Her body couldn't cope with working and being pregnant.
Yeah.
And I got diagnosed with an illness, so then I had to go part-time. That all happened at the same time. It
Wow.
was just, you know, but, yeah. And then at that time, sort of things turned around again and got back into church, went back to the original church that I was born again in, and
Oh, wow.
it's like I had to go back there to recover.
Awesome.
Wow.
Awesome.
Back
Yeah.
to the family.
Yeah, but things had changed there too, so,
Of course,
you
yeah.
know, wasn't exactly the same, but God gives you what you need at the time.
And then how long were you with at Herman's church before?
I wasn't at Herman's church.
Eh?
Nope. Never went there. First time I went there was at chapel. That second Sunday.
So, the second Sunday.
The second Sunday.
How did you heard about it?
Well, I didn't have a car back then and I wasn't really going anywhere. And this couple that I knew from that original church, I must have bumped into them somewhere and said, "Oh, I've got this church we're going to, and he's a really good preacher, and he's teaches the word." Sorry, Marshall, wasn't you? I'm talking about Herman. So they brought me, but something happened because they couldn't take me at the time that they were going to. So it was a few weeks.
Right.
So by the time I got there, you had taken over, and I just loved it. I just knew this was it.
Thought you were going to say the place is a shambles.
And I had been in a church for a few years, just roaming around trying to find a home, you know.
Mm.
Yeah, so that couple didn't end up staying, but I did.
Wow.
Mm.
Yeah,
So,
10 years on.
yeah.
And you used to bring your grandson,
Yes.
the Man Mountain.
Yeah, he used to always come to church with me. Yeah.
Loved it.
I had a video, I don't think I've still got it, but I had a video back in when he was really little. Sitting on the stage there with a couple of men, and they were praying. This gentleman was praying with this other gentleman, and Harlan standing up there with his hand on his shoulder too, with his eyes closed, praying too.
Oh, beautiful.
It was. It was
Yeah.
gorgeous.
And isn't it amazing? Similar circumstances for you and Jade.
Yeah.
And both of you, your kids, have ended up
Yeah.
from a young age being in the church and
Yeah.
in fairly beautiful churches. Like
Yeah.
you were in just a family home church. It was
Yep.
Jade's first experience.
Yeah.
And then Harlem's in much of a similar church. It's just a
Yep.
family.
Yep.
How awesome is that?
I know.
I can see God's like restoring,
Yeah.
like changing the family, changing the history of the family. Like this is
Yeah.
the new.
Yeah.
Wow, that's pretty amazing.
I don't know whether I had any Christians in my family line.
Huh.
I don't know. Don't know.
So you had, like, sitting here now,
Mm.
seeing the story, you're busy with the grandkids and stuff.
Yeah.
There still must be strong hope and
Yeah, there is.
like
I definitely is.
contentment at the same time.
Yeah. When I was diagnosed with this illness, no cure. The doctor never said anything about it's terminal or you're going to die. He never mentioned those words. I had to figure that out for myself.
Right.
But I never had it in my head. I never took that on.
Yeah.
So to my mind, I just had this illness. To me, it wasn't terminal. It wasn't
Yeah.
anything like that. But all through, it's been 20 years.
Wow.
And my doctors cannot believe how well I am.
Wow.
And I had hope.
Amen.
Always had hope that
Wow.
God had the last say, and He was everything. He was my healer, and I really got into the faith movement and quoting scriptures over myself and
Come on.
breaking off all the negative stuff.
Yeah.
So I've always got hope, even the times that I've been down, and I have gotten down for different reasons. I won't go into that. That's another story. I've always had hope.
Mm.
And even years ago when I left that other church, things didn't go well. I packed up my Bible, I packed up my CDs and put them all away. Didn't want nothing to do with them.
Wow.
Right? Still love God, still
Yeah.
went to church, but because of the teaching, and it was hard teaching,
Yeah.
the only prayer I could pray was, God, don't let me go.
Wow.
Whatever I do, wherever I go, do not let me go.
Wow.
And He never did.
Wow.
Wow.
It's learning in those times. I watched Bill Johnson the other day talk about the loss of his wife, and the stuff he said is so true and so amazing. When you're going through those moments of darkness and pain, God is there,
Huh.
and it brings you closer to Him, and He's the one that holds you up. He's my hope,
So
regardless of anything.
So good.
I'm so glad, so grateful that He found me. He chose me,
When you sit now with your grandkids, you see your daughter and son-in-law singing. You see Harlem roaming around with this camera.
Yeah.
What joy do you have? Like,
Oh,
do you pinch yourself still, or
I'm so full of gratitude.
wow?
Every single day I said, Lord, thank you for my family. I thank you for what you've done, that my kids are safe, that Harlem's doing so well, and I've got these gorgeous little boys now who just bring me such joy, And Jadie, with how she's turned into this beautiful, responsible, smart woman,
Yeah.
and married Lima,
Yeah.
most amazing singer,
Yeah.
and he honours me so much,
Mm.
just blesses me, and I'm grateful. I'm grateful for my sister Jo, she's been there for me from day dot.
Wow.
Every Tuesday payday she would turn up with something for Jade.
Oh, gorgeous.
Every week.
Wow.
She clothed her.
Isn't it amazing how over your journey you can cry out to God, God, why aren't you doing this? God, do something. God, help.
Mm-hmm.
And in those moments, it can sometimes seem like He's not answering.
Yeah.
But then you skip years down the track and you can sit in a room and look at your family
Yeah.
and go, whoa,
Yeah.
how did this happen?
Yeah.
How did we get here? I'd like to finish on asking you a question. I spoke to a lovely man by the name of Alan this morning, who's been a believer for many years, and he said he watches every single episode, and he's really encouraged by it. He's surprised at how much he is challenged and encouraged by people's stories. So I guess I wanted to finish on asking you the question for people, from young people to people that are further down the track, what's one thing that you would say to encourage them in their moments of battling through it and struggling?
One thing, get to know him. It's that relationship with him. That is the key. That it's not just a religion. It isn't religion. It's knowing him, and he knows you, and he's your greatest advocate. There's no one who loves you more than he does.
Wow.
And even in our sin and our brokenness, he's there with us. He showed me a picture one day in worship that he was there the day I was born.
Oh, wow.
I cried. You know that song, You Breathe on Me? You were singing over me when I took my first breath, something like that.
Wow.
I seen the photo. It was him there, right there when I was born.
Jeez.
And I thought, Lord, you were there.
Hmm.
Of course, I bawled my eyes out.
Yeah.
You know, and that's the truth of it. He's there for all of us, and we don't have to be perfect. Just talk to him the way we talk to our closest friend. We can't hide anything from him, and he hates us being prideful and making excuses for ourselves because he knows the truth anyway.
Man,
But he
Wow.
just loves us.
so good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Auntie Di,
I'm
it's
so
been
grateful.
great. It's been great
Yeah.
having you here. We're grateful you're here,
Yeah. Thanks.
sharing so openly.
Grateful
And
too.
Yeah. Thanks for your faithfulness,
yeah,
your perseverance and endurance,
Thanks,
and your
Sam.
beautiful family.
Yeah,
We're blessed by
your
you
prayers,
guys.
your
Yeah.
constant encouragement.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Thank
So
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.